Do you think I'm a narcissist?
No. Maybe.
Maybe. Do you feel like you can't tell me if I am? You feel like it would hurt my feelings?
No, I don't think it'd hurt your feelings. I think...
Do you think I think I'm a narcissist?
Maybe, yeah. I think that maybe that's what it is. Maybe you think you're a narcissist. Maybe you think that you're a narcissist, but you're not actually. It's all in your head.
I think a lot of things about that word. Because I think it's one of these words, like there's a lot of words we could talk about here in this sense that has been postmodernized, where I think narcissism used to mean a very specific, like, mental diagnosis. Like, you have narcissistic personality disorder, where it's like...
Yeah.
And I think that is a very specific thing, where then there's just the general labeling of people as narcissists. And it's just kind of whenever someone behaves in a way that, at least on the surface, seems self-serving and self-centered, and we don't agree with it, we don't like the behavior, we often go for that label, narcissist, you fucking narcissist. And I also think that this podcast so far has a pretty good example. Like, one, me having these questions for you that are centered around me. To me doing the trivia, the Camboy trivia, about my own, very, very narcissistic. But there are also things that, like, I was aware of going into that they're narcissistic, and I don't really care about creating that image. I think it's funny, and I kind of lean into it a lot in a caricature sort of sense.
I mean, it's a good thing to do, with moderation.
Yeah, I mean, it's good and bad at the same time. I think, but I think even between those two definitions, where there's this looser thing where it's like, I think in the second sense, the postmodernized thing where we just call people, I think everyone is a narcissist.
Everybody can be a narcissist.
Yeah, to at least a small degree.
Yeah.
And I think that I think it's necessary to prioritize, like, I think there's a healthy way to go about it, and that there's an unhealthy way to go about it. I think a very unhealthy way of going about narcissism is, one, being self-centered and not aware of it and in denial about it. That's, I think, the worst form of narcissism, where you are just so self-centered and completely unaware of it and won't admit it. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fucking narcissist. Oh my God. That's just very, it's very cringy when you meet that kind of person. It's also the kind of person that will talk about themselves and won't shut the fuck up, like, and won't even have any moment of, like, doing it for a few minutes, like talking about themselves and like, oh, well, I'm just talking about myself for a little bit. But it is also a little cringy when someone gets, like, overly self-conscious constantly of, like, oh, I'm talking about myself again, and they just do it 10 times in a row.
Or they just do it to, like, make people think that they
right. They sometimes think that showing self-awareness excuses the behavior, which it doesn't necessarily.
It almost makes it worse.
Sometimes, yeah.
I think most of it, like, all the time.
All the time.
Unless
I don't know. To me, I think
unless it's, like, actually genuine. But
well, yeah. Well, I think that can be a pretty good rule just about anything. Like, I think as long as you're being genuine, it's fine.
Yeah.
And in any case, in any behavior, if you're being genuine, it's like, at least there you're behaving in this way that's truthful and can be criticized. And as long as you are open to hearing it, and you don't necessarily have to change change in a way and shape yourself to whatever everyone's saying about you to you all the time, but you should be open to those kind of negative comments and then kind of amalgamate them over time to be like, most people tell me I'm a narcissist.
Yeah.
Most people seem to say that I talk about myself too much. And I don't feel like that's necessarily the case for me, but part of me feels like I don't feel like I have a lot of people confronting me about it. I do feel like it's a thing.
It's more of a self-driven thing.
Yeah. Well, and I do think I have a tendency to do it more than others. I'm not the most narcissistic person by any means, but I think I'm more narcissistic than the average person. I think I try my best to deal with it in a healthy way and to allow my self-awareness to get it out of the way and minimize my narcissistic behavior, or focus on the narcissistic behaviors that benefit me in a way to where my existence benefits others. I think this is where I'm going with this, is like, I think that the healthy level of narcissism is the kind where you take care of yourself and focus on yourself first in this way, to where you can be the best version of yourself for other people.
Yeah.
If your narcissism is like, I want to be focused on me to protect me, fuck everyone else, I think that's where that's a precondition for unhealthy narcissism. If it's fuck everyone else, I'm all I have, it's all about me, this is my life, I think that's an unhealthy precondition to perceive yourself. And I think it's much better to say, like the airplane thing, you know, put your life vest on before you start helping the person next to you.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you got to make sure you're good before you can.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you can't expect yourself to help someone else if you're not helping yourself.
Yeah. And another way to say that I really like this analogy. It's the, it's not the glass half full, half empty, but it's this idea of like, you are a glass, and once your glass is full and overflowing, then you can give water to other people. But if your glass is like running on empty, or it's only half, like, you really can't give very much to other people. So it's like, fill your glass up first and then start overflowing it, and then give that overflow to the people around you. And I certainly have noticed that, like, when I'm not taking care of myself and I am this low energy, low confidence, just like a negative form of self-conscious, I'm draining to people. I think I've really, these past 5 years of really focusing on the inner workings of the self, I think I've gone in and out of these ruts where, like, I'm really draining to be around, like, socially. I think I've lost a lot of friends from, like, reconnecting with old friends who, like, remember this more energetic and extroverted version of me, and then I'm around like, oh my God, he's like a drag now. He's like depressed. And I think that a lot of that has, just me going through these really difficult pockets of, like, trying to figure myself out or figure out what's wrong with me, or, like, thinking I'm moving in the right direction, but maybe I'm making an error and I'm making something worse, or not taking care of it properly. I mean, this is a super dense and complicated subject, but to come back to it, in this sense, you do or do not feel like I'm a narcissist.
No, I don't think that, like, you are, but I think that sometimes, like, it can be just like an overthinking kind of thing. Like, you may think you are, and then you thinking about it too much will make you almost become what you think. So, I mean, it's no, to answer your question, I don't think you are.